Hey everyone, Hydra Head here, and let's talk about the new Sentry. This is from Marvel. It's a new #1. They're relaunching the Sentry IP. This is going to be written by Jeff Lemire. Art is by Kim Jacinto and Ryan Burrito. Burrito's been doing a lot of stuff for Marvel and DC lately. So normally I would have passed on a new Marvel #1 simply because Marvel really hasn't been trying, and the only thing they've been offering lately that I think is worth any damn is the Donny Cates Venom, which has been fantastic. I'll probably do a review on that later today. But I went ahead and picked this up because it's Jeff Lemire. Jeff Lemire's a good writer. Now, Sentry has kind of a checkered past. They've never really, and when I say they, I mean Marvel in general, has really never been able to keep their shit straight when it comes to Sentry. They're constantly changing his backstory. They're constantly changing his power levels. They're killing him, bringing him back. He's a very, very abused character, and I think it stems from the fact that he was basically a Superman ripoff, and then they were trying very hard to make him not a Superman ripoff, and then he was OP on like a DC level, so they had to bring down his power levels, and then that kind of ruined the character. It's just, if you're a Sentry fan, then you got some serious dedication, and I respect you. Now, I think some people are going to like this story. It's well written, but I absolutely hate this type of story. So, if you guys are familiar with the... I also don't like when they reuse panels. Look, they just mirrored imaged it, even. That's fucking lazy. And the level of detail in this art, I don't think warrants reusing such a simple panel. So many simple panels. Oh, it's annoying. Anyway, what this story is about is, so the background they're going with on Sentry for this is that if Sentry makes himself Sentry in the Marvel Universe, then that creates Void, his exact opposite, his bizarro Superman, if you will. Void obviously wants to destroy everything, kill everything. He's the exact opposite of Sentry. Because of that, Sentry's tried to play dead, hide his powers so that Void couldn't be released. We find out that Doctor Strange built him this contraption, and it basically creates a pocket universe where he can go live out his fantasy as Sentry and defeat the Void every day, or every night, and then he can go back about living his life. And if this kind of strikes you as a familiar plot, it's probably because you've seen the South Park episode with the cat piss. But instead of cat piss, we got Doctor Strange's invention. And instead of Kenny, we got an old, fat, poor version of the Sentry. So in this world, though, we've got Sentry, we've got Scout, Watchdog, and Sentress. So Scout, I'm familiar with him. Watchdog, I don't know, maybe. I'm not familiar with Watchdog. I'm just going to guess he was around. And then, of course, Sentress. As far as I know, Sentress wasn't a real person, which is why the chick here looks like a character a little bit farther into the book. Basically, we get this cool, I guess you could say cool, fight scene where we get to see Sentry defeat the Void and destroy the moon. And then he's, like, talking to Scout, and they're celebrating, and then they're like, well, I mean, he'll be back tomorrow, so we'll just do it all over again. This right here, though, so if you were on Twitter, there's been a lot of people pass around this picture of Rags from the Rags comic, where she's doing this fucking self-satisfied smirky smile and apologizing. They use the exact same reference. That is just the Sentry doing the Rags smile, and I think it's hilarious. I'm sure they use the same reference photo. But and then this is when we get assigned to see the real Sentry. It's old, fat, broken down house. He's fucking crippled and gross. This watch is basically a timer. Every 24 hours he has to drop back into his pocket universe. He brushes his teeth in his dirty bathroom. He eats his cereal in his dirty dining room. And then he makes the trudge on to work. Where does he work? That's Sven's Diner, of course. Who else works with him? Scout's there! And Scout's got one arm now. He's also old, fat, drunk, angry. And he's pretty pissed off that Sentry gets to go and pretend to be Sentry every now and then while Scout has to just be a one-armed cook. And if you read this, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but it feels like all the facial expressions are completely off for the dialogue that's happening. Like right here, where Scout's doing this kind of like, almost like a smirky face. He's not in any way remotely amused. And then Sentry looks absolutely enraged in every one of these panels, but they're actually having a fairly calm conversation. And it's basically just Scout bemoaning the fact that he doesn't get to be a superhero anymore. And then on his way home from the diner, Sentry gets accosted by Misty from the ACD, the Aberrant Crimes Division. And they're basically just reminding Sentry that he's a criminal and that they're watching him. And it's stupid. It's stupid and played out. It's fucking a dumb trope is what it is. Anyway, there's a digital code that I forgot to mention at the beginning of this video. So if you want to read this before buying it, be the first one to enter this code at marvel.com/redeem. And you can have your free copy of The Sentry #1. You also have an account with Marvel. Oh, also in his sub-universe, there's this, like, AI entity called Clock. I don't remember Clock from the old Sentry stuff, so I'm sure that's, like, a Doctor Strange creation for his little pocket world. But Christ, Marvel, you gotta stop it with these fucking AI best friends. That shit gets old so fast. Iron Man's got one. Spider-Man's got one. Fucking everybody's got some stupid AI. I mean, Vision is an AI sidekick. It's dumb. It's just dumb. But anyway, as he gets home, finds out that somebody's broken into his house and stolen his piss box, or his pocket universe. Now, you'd think this part would be a key component to it, but apparently they didn't need that. They only needed the little triangle thingy that he somehow shoves his head in without killing himself. And that's when we jump back to our pocket universe, where Scout and Watchdog are waiting in anticipation for Sentry to return. Somebody else returns. They're like, "It's you! Impossible!" And they get killed, and we see some feet and black boots, and we don't know who it is, and we're not going to find out until next issue. I do want to know who it is that murdered them in this pocket universe, and find out how they're going to try and make me give a shit about a pocket universe being killed off. But at the same time, it's kind of a stupid book. I think some people will like it, though. I just really don't like these fallen hero stories. They're so played out and ridiculous. And plus, you're working with kind of a shattered IP. Sentry has a lot of complex backstory, and you guys just kind of had to pick something and roll with it. So, I don't know. It's a good thing you had Jeff Lemire on it. Otherwise, this would have been a massive train wreck. If you really like Sentry and you really like Jeff Lemire, then definitely recommend this. Otherwise, you're not missing out by not reading it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hail Hydra, baby.